On February 24, 2022, Russian President Putin jolted the world with his full-scale invasion of Ukraine, his peaceful and democratic neighbor. America and the world were shocked by Putin's war of choice, and countries from around the world came together to help Ukraine fight for its freedom.
About mid-April, he was in one of those daily meetings assessing what was going on, and he kind of said, we're losing track of everything that's going on. It's all good. Countries are donating so much that the Ukrainians need, but we can't even keep track of it all. And it was at that point he developed the idea of convening his counterparts to come together so we could have a full picture of what was being donated, assess what the Ukrainians actually needed, and identify gaps, and work together to be able to meet those needs that weren't being met. From the very night, which was actually February 23rd in Washington, when the first Russian missiles were striking Kyiv, he was intensively bringing together the team to understand what was emerging and what was evolving. In that first week after the invasion, he quickly pivoted to not just understanding what was going on, but figuring out what we were going to do about it. He traveled also to meet with colleagues and counterparts. And I particularly remember in March, he visited Slovakia and met with the minister in Slovakia. And Slovakia was one of the few countries that still had a Soviet legacy system, an S-300 system, which the Ukrainians knew how to operate. And it was in the visit in March that Secretary Austin persuaded the government of Slovakia to donate its only air defense system, only strategic air defense system, to Ukraine. In return, he promised that he would send a U.S. air defense system on a rotational basis to help to create the reassurance and security that the leadership sought.
Now, as NATO allies, we stand united in support of Ukraine and its right to defend its sovereign territory. We're committed to helping the brave Ukrainian people as they protect themselves and their freedom from Russia's unjust and unprovoked invasion. As we discussed yesterday in Brussels at this week's NATO summit, we take our obligations to NATO and to our allies very seriously. And our commitment to Article 5 is ironclad. We've sent additional U.S. forces to reinforce our NATO allies, and we have more on call, ready to go if NATO activates its response forces. And I commend Slovakia for its contributions to NATO, for the humanitarian and military assistance that you provided to Ukraine, and for the generosity that you've shown to the innocent refugees fleeing Putin's war of choice. Your actions speak volumes.
And it was at that moment that I really understood that his powers of persuasion, his expertise, his professionalism, but also the very deep trust that his counterparts in Europe, ministers of defense in Europe, had for him was a key to unlocking support for Ukraine. And that's really what led to the Ukraine Defense Contact Group.
Ever since April 2022, I have been convening the Ukraine Defense Contact Group. And that's the coalition of some 50 countries from around the world determined to help Ukraine defend itself against Putin's aggression. The contact group has met 24 times, and we're meeting for a 25th time right here at Ramstein Air Base in Germany. And the contact group has delivered.
Since the initiation of hostilities in late February, the global community has responded in an unprecedented manner. The Ukrainian Security Assistance Program has been calculated, responsive, and relevant to Ukrainian defense requirements. At the onset of the Russian invasion, the global community took action in the form of security assistance to help Ukraine defend itself. This immediate assistance had exceptional impact on the battlefield. Russia halted and turned back their initial advances in the face of fierce Ukrainian resistance.
I look forward to meet with NATO defense ministers and ministers from partner countries at the Ukraine contact group led by the United States, and we will discuss how to sustain and step up our support for Ukraine. I just came back from Kiev yesterday night, and I met with President Zelensky, and his message was that he really appreciates and welcomes the strong support the NATO allies and partners have provided for Ukraine, but he also counts on us to continue to support Ukraine in the future.
You know, I'm very proud that the United States has committed more than $66 billion in security assistance to Ukraine. And America's allies and partners have also stepped up to share the responsibility. Other members of the contact group have committed more than $60 billion in security assistance to Ukraine. And together, we have helped Ukraine survive an all-out assault by the largest military in Europe for almost 3 years. Contact group members have delivered critical weapons. They've trained Ukrainian pilots and soldiers. And through the contact group's nimble capability coalitions, Ukraine's friends are helping meet its urgent battlefield needs and to forge the future force to deter future Russian aggression.
Thank you, American people, President Biden, and bipartisan support. We are very thankful for all those support from the United States that's been done for Ukraine from the very beginning of this war.
Never has a country raised so much support for a partner in need. Even in World War II, the United States created the Lend-Lease program. The Lend-Lease program was incredibly important, but the Lend-Lease program was about lending resources, finances, to European countries fighting off Nazi invasion. With the Ukraine Defense Contact Group, we've not only raised money, we've actually raised real equipment. We've delivered it sometimes in the space of a week from decision across the border into Ukraine. The Secretary has organized training for Ukrainian troops, basic training, unit training, specialized training, training on advanced Western capabilities as the needs of Ukraine transitioned from old Soviet equipment to new NATO interoperable equipment. They had to be trained on Western-style artillery systems, new kinds of tanks, F-16s, F-16 pilot training.
We study a lot, we fly a lot, we prep for the missions. Royal Danish Air Force has taken a huge responsibility on their shoulders for carrying out this mission. And we can only imagine how hard it is for them to train us for day-to-day operation, but they are being nothing but supportive.
This has never been done in history. And never in history has it been done by a coalition of 50 countries, assisting Ukraine in the defense of its sovereignty and territorial integrity is something that my entire team, it's what gets us up in the morning, very early in the morning. It's what gets us staying late in the office, very late, and coming in on the weekends. And that excitement and that sense of purpose as we get on that rather old, creaky airplane again to Ramstein Air Base is something that everyone is eager to participate in, because we know we are making history, and we know we are making history by supporting Secretary Austin.
Ukraine faces complex challenges in the days to come. And we must continue to stand up for what's right. You see, Putin's assault on Ukraine is a warning about what might lie ahead. We are all seeing a sneak preview of a world built by tyrants and thugs, a chaotic, violent world where bullies trample their smaller neighbors, and a world where aggressors force free people to live in fear. That's what's at stake. This isn't just about Ukraine's survival, it's about America's security. And it's about the kind of world we leave for our children and grandchildren. Thanks for watching.